Welcome to What's Going On. I'm Robert L. Minter Jr., your host.
And I'm Tanisha Baker, your co-host.
We'd like to welcome you, our viewing audience, to the award-winning show, What's Going On. And if you missed this show, you can go to the Beck Cultural Exchange Center, located at 1927 Dandridge Avenue, right here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and ask for the award-winning show, What's Going On.
And while you're at the Beck, we want you to check out some of the other things they have going on there. They have exhibits, they have meeting rooms, they have a library, they have the internet,
Yeah.
and it's free Wi-Fi. And you know we've been working with Mr. Mentor and understanding the technology and that Wi-Fi is not wiring. So we've grown, we've moved past the flip phone. And we have a smartphone now. We're still working on how to use it.
Praise
But
the
we do
Lord.
have, show it to them. Show them your phone.
Yeah, Ray had to show me how to cut it on. and
But we
answer the
still
phone.
can't text. Now,
Yeah.
we can't answer the phone this week. But we do want you to really enjoy a jewel in our community, which is the Beck Cultural Exchange Center. Get a membership. They have membership cards. Mr. Mentor has his laminated.
Yeah, the laminated card.
Makes it official.
Made it official.
And then we have the Legacy Bricks.
Yeah,
Tell
only-
them about that.
Yeah, only cost you $100.
You have one?
Oh, yeah.
You got two.
Yeah, I got one.
You got one.
Yeah, and you can get some of your relatives inscribed on it. And Reverend Renee Kessel, better known as, I used to call her Reverend Diva.
Yeah.
Yeah, used to have her on our radio show. Well, she will place that brick on the Beck Walk of Fame.
Right. So go by there and support the Beck and visit, and not just once, because it's ever changing. So we want you to continue to stop by and visit and view all of the great things they have there.
Yeah. And the flu season is still in force. Don't forget to wash your hands
Right.
after every meal.
Wash your hands. Stop breathing in folks' faces
Yeah,
when
wear
you
a
know
mask.
you've been sick.
Yes, Lord. And I had
You
it.
know they had to close school
Yes.
for the number of flu cases.
I was down for 2.5 weeks.
Really?
I had to go up under the house, bring that sludge hammer out.
Well, I was fortunate. I was fortunate, but and I hear it's another strand or that it's not over.
No.
So we still have to be careful, but that's just good practice anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. And spring is in the air.
it is.
Yeah, so
Waiting on it.
Yeah, let's get out and enjoy Knoxville. The flowers are already blooming, but might be another cold front. Might
I
kill
know
us
it's a
pretty
little
soon.
confusing. So the weather this year has just been kind of up and down, and
Yeah.
I hear there's another winter storm hitting some parts of the country.
Yes, and in Knoxville they say if you stand on the corner for 5 minutes, the weather will change.
I believe it.
But don't forget to tune in. Talking with
Talking
T.
with
I like
T.
to say that.
I like when you say it too. So I want all of you to remember to tune in to Talking with T. You can listen to it on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Google Music, or iHeartRadio. We do a new show each Monday. We like to say we chatter about what matters on the show design with you in mind. So visit www.talkingwitht.com. Love to have you as a guest. So visit the website, check out the stories, and tune in.
All right. Well, we got a guest on. Oh, I had to go through.
Special guest.
Yeah, I had to go through 50 channels to get to him.
You did. I'm
Yeah,
nervous.
But I got
It's
it.
top.
though.
It's
Yeah,
top
yeah.
notch right here.
Yeah, we like to welcome to What's Going On show, Dr. Keith Gray.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
We
Thank
met
you.
That's for sure.
quite a while ago, and congratulations. And tell us your position now.
As of March 1st, I am now the Chief Medical Officer at University of Tennessee Medical Center here in Knoxville. But I also want to emphasize I still am a cancer surgeon
Right.
and still taking care of patients on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Chief Medical Officer. UT
Chief
Med-
Medical
Have mercy.
Officer.
I'm
You got to
saying.
say that with emphasis. You know what I'm saying? At the
Yeah.
University of Tennessee Hospital. So how long you been with the hospital?
Almost 12 years.
Oh, okay.
I came here in the summer of 2007, and so we're approaching that 12-year anniversary.
Very
It's
good.
gone by really fast, though.
Wow.
And,
And you're here, came from,
Came here directly from Houston, Texas. I
Okay.
did my
Okay.
cancer center training down at MD Anderson Cancer Center in
Okay.
Houston. So we
All right.
spent 2 years there, but did my residency and research at Vanderbilt, where I spent 7 years in Nashville prior to that.
okay,
okay.
all right.
So
Well,
we
also
lucky,
the,
huh?
the beloved community send their regards.
thank you. Thank
Yeah, Dorothy mentioned Kincaid was going to try to get on the show, but they send their regards. And to our viewing artists, he's one of their consultants, and they are cancer survivors
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
with the beloved community. And I do the MC of the program over there for veterans every year. So
Yeah.
That's how I knew about you. I said, Mr. Man all over.
Miss Kincaid's got a special program.
Yes.
And if I can take 10 seconds
ahead.
and tell
Yeah.
her story, it's well known that she's a cancer survivor. She's a patient of mine from back 2012. And I remember my first interaction with her because when I met her in the hospital, we talked a little bit about her diagnosis briefly, really seriously seconds. But after that, she said, and when I am out of the hospital, I want you to come and help me put together this not-for-profit organization that are going to help people in the situation that I am in right now.
Right.
And she followed through on that. As soon as we discharged her from the hospital, I got a call from her about 2 weeks later and said, let's put this thing together that we talked about. And it's the beloved community is the product of that. And they've helped a lot of people, especially down in the Blount County area.
Yes, and also they just had their fundraiser,
Okay.
and I sent our donation over.
I appreciate that.
And they raised $1,000.
It's
Okay,
awesome.
so tell me a little bit more about what their goal is or
Well, really, it's
what
to
she
assist,
wanted to do.
It's to assist cancer survivors that are facing all of the things associated with having a diagnosis of cancer, navigating the healthcare process, navigating the recovery process, and really having the resources to do that. We oftentimes think about healthcare as just being isolated to the cost of treatment, but it's really the impact of care on your family, on your resources back and forth to and from the hospital. Other folks, the caregivers, undergo a significant amount of stress financially and otherwise.
Oh, yes.
And her organization is interested in caring for people throughout their entire journey
Okay.
to help them navigate that process.
Very good, very
Well,
good.
Doc, what pursued you to go into cancer? Did you wake up 4:30 in the morning and say, "This is what I want to do" in a cold sweat, or how did that?
Well, actually, my wife woke up 4:30. My wife woke up 4:30 one morning and decided that I'd make a great cancer surgeon.
Okay, all right.
The reality is, when I was at Vanderbilt, I didn't know quite what I wanted to do. I liked taking care of a variety of different patients. I knew I wanted to do something that allowed me to have a long-term relationship with my patients, which is why I went into medicine in the first place.
Okay.
And so I combined those interests, an interest in being a surgeon and taking care of patients and establishing long-term relationships. And cancer surgery was that fit. As a cancer surgeon, people think that I go take the cancer out and I never see the patient again, when in actuality, taking the cancer out, if it's removable, is the beginning of the journey. The follow-up and the surveillance and walking them through the recovery process is part of my job, part of my honor and privilege. And, I've made some really special friends and people that I consider family through that process. And, Dorothy Kincaid is one of those folks. And so my wife saw that in me, saw that I had the skills and the temperament to contribute to this part of medicine, and she recommended it. And I then did a fellowship, or actually spent a month at MD Anderson, just taking a closer look to see if I would like that.
Okay.
Loved it, and next step was the fellowship there, and that brought me here.
Right.
Wow, very good. So
You're
you mentioned
married?
you,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you're married and have 5 kids.
Married and have been married for 22 years,
Right.
and 5 children ranging from the age of 9 to 17, and got a daughter going to college this year at the University of South Carolina.
Wow.
All
And
right.
one going to college next year. So, great family, very supportive family. Obviously, a tough job to take care of cancer patients. It's
Right.
stressful in the time required to do that. It's also stressful in the, working with people that don't always beat the diagnosis, and that
Right.
you take that home with you. But my family's been very supportive, especially my wife, and it's kind of become a family effort for us. But Knoxville has embraced us. We consider Tennessee home. I mean, Tennessee collectively, I've been here almost 20 years, counting my
Okay,
time in
right.
Nashville, so we
Right.
consider Tennessee home.
Well, I got to say to your wife, and your wife's name, if you don't
Kayla,
mind.
my wife's
Kayla.
Kayla.
I just want to give her some prompts
Absolutely.
do
for,
too.
getting up 4:30 in the morning and said, "This is what you
I
need
should
to
have
do."
got up 4:30 one morning. Well, honey, I'll talk to you about
Thank
that
you so
when we
much.
get home.
Thank you so much. I think
She's fantastic.
yes,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
She's fantastic.
So you mentioned you're still seeing patients.
Yes.
And I know that's a big motivation for you of what you want to do, and fit, like you said, it fits.
Yep.
But this other position,
Yep.
Chief Medical Officer.
Yes, ma'am.
What is that? Tell me a little bit more about that.
So really, it's designed to lead the policies and protocols that help our patients in this community get the best care. You were talking about before we came on the air, talking about your experience at the University of Tennessee Medical Center. You were talking about yours, and both of you had good experiences. You got great care, and that's part of my job, is helping to put together protocols and policies that ensure that for all of our patients, no matter your background or your socioeconomic status, your diagnosis. Everybody. We want you to get good treatment first and foremost, effective treatment, safe treatment, but have a good experience as well, as good as you can have in a healthcare setting. Secondly, what part of my job is to help ensure that care by taking care of our providers, our doctors, our nurses, our staff. We want them to have some job satisfaction. We want them to be well. Healthcare provision is a stressful job. We work long hours. They have a lot of training. And so I want to take care of, put things in place that help them have a successful practice, develop into the folks, faculty, surgeons, care providers that they want to be, and so that they can administer that care that you bragged about before we came on the air. Also, I serve as a liaison and arm to the community.
Okay.
How in listening, being the listening ear to the community and knowing what the needs of the communities are, where the gaps are, where the inequities are, if you will, and trying to caulk those gaps, if you will. So it's a little bit of everything, and that's why I like it. There's job because there's so much to do. There's job security in that, but there's also job satisfaction in that for me. And continuing to practice medicine gives me leverage, gives me credibility on the street, gives me credibility in my hospital, because I can, by going and doing that clinical portion of my job, it allows me to come back and help make changes and be boots on the ground, stay in the trenches, if you will.
Yeah. Well, now I'll go over there. Not that I like to toss names here and there, but I'm impressed, but I'm also delighted to have you as a member of our community.
Thank you.
And particularly for some of our young people to aspire to, who have an idea that they might want to do this or they may want to explore the field of medicine, when they see someone that they can relate to.
Sure.
And often even just put it out there, someone that looks like them.
Yeah.
Then I think it helps them to really move to that next level as far as pursuing that. And so I know we're going to have you back on this show, but I would love to pave an opportunity for you to be in front of some of those young people and share like you're doing today. And all of that seems very fascinating, but the fact that you are willing to still practice so you can really relate to the staff you're trying to support. My boss always says, take care of the people that take care of the people.
That's right.
And I see you putting an emphasis on that as well.
Yeah. It's a good point you bring up about the role modeling and mentorship. That's where I was. It seems like yesterday, but it wasn't. Clearly, it wasn't yesterday. but the role model that I looked to, I remember when I was the age of the folks that you mentor, I looked to Ben Carson, former presidential candidate Ben Carson. And, when I shared with my parents that I wanted to pursue medicine, specifically surgery, we didn't know any surgeons, we didn't know any doctors. And Ben Carson was on the rise at that point, and he subsequently wrote a book, Gifted Hands, and we just followed his example, his spirit of excellence, his trailblazing mentality. He was a pioneer in his area, also just in medicine and surgery for a lot of underrepresented minorities. We followed what he did, but more than anything, I got a chance to see what I wanted to be. And that's what I want to provide for this community. And they don't necessarily have to look like me. Clearly, it is an inspiration for people that do look like me. But they get a chance to say, hey, if this guy can do it, I can do it. And that's what I want them to know. There's nothing special about what I did. Yeah, I worked hard, and I do actually get up at 4:30.
I was going to ask about how many hours. You seem like you're doing a whole lot. And about how many hours a week is that?
Well, it's just, let me finish
that. Okay.
That when when I was presented with the opportunity to pursue this position, it became more about not necessarily that I want to, but you have to, because
Okay.
it's not about you anymore. It's about people that are looking at you and providing that inspiration to the community to say, you can be and do anything you want to be and do if you're willing to put in the hard work. And if you've got people out there that will mentor you and support you and help you see the good in you, if you've got wives and mothers and friends and pastors that say, hey, I see this in you, and you trust them enough to pursue it. Because when my wife said that to me, I didn't see it,
Okay.
but I trusted her.
Okay.
And I trusted my pastor, and I trusted my parents, and I trusted my coaches. When it really got hard, they said, there's nobody there better than you. So that was my inspiration to keep going, even when it was tough.
Yeah. It's strange that you would mention Ben Carson. He would come here every year to St. Mary's and give seminars. And how I found out about this, one of my good friends, Frank
I was
Glispie.
gonna say, well, you gonna be a doctor?
No, Frank Glispie worked at St. Mary's.
Okay.
And they would often have coffee together.
Sure.
I
Okay.
mean, he didn't put on any airs or anything like that. Frank was over the facilitators, so far as the infrastructure of the St. Mary's Hospital. And he said, when he came in, the first thing he looked for was Frank. And they would sit in the cafeteria and have coffee and talk.
Yeah.
That's how I knew that Ben Carson was
Here every year.
Every year,
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
doing a seminar at St. Mary's.
Yeah.
So it's strange that here you are coming in and you look to him as inspiration.
Absolutely. And so I hope to, clearly I'm not Ben Carson, but I just want people to look to me like that for inspiration, for motivation, and the how-tos.
Yeah. And what, in case some of our young people are looking at our show, what advice would you give them, those who are thinking about going into nursing or those who might have that idea in the back of their head that they might want to be a doctor?
So I'm gonna start with the grassroots part of it and say one of my I guess things that motivate me is knowing that my relationship with God says that God has something special for me.
Amen.
Ephesians 2:10 is my verse. We are masterpieces created by God to do good things which He has already prepared for us to do.
Wow.
So, first of all, you're a masterpiece. Masterpieces are originals. You're not like anybody else. So I say that to say you shouldn't be aspiring to do exactly what somebody else is doing. It should be
Right.
motivation, but you don't want to do exactly what they're doing necessarily. And then God has already got that plan out there, but He's giving you certain skills and certain talents and gifts, and it's up to the people around you to help point out those gifts and those talents. Or to say, you don't have that one, so don't pursue that. But you got to trust those people. So you got to have, my point is, you got to have good people around you that can speak into your life. And once you identify your gifts and talents, once you identify what you want to be, where you want to go, you got to put the work in. Whether you're, like our basketball team who's had a great year, they had a great year because they put the work in last year and the year before that and the year before that. And so another thing I like to say is that there are no all of a suddens in life. People see the chief medical officer and say, all of a sudden he's the chief medical officer. There are no all of a sudden. There are a lot of 4:30 mornings,
Right,
a lot of
okay.
4:30 mornings, a lot of sleepless nights in residency and so on and so forth. And so you've got to put the work in. You've got to do things that other people aren't doing. You're going to miss some parties. You're going to miss some vacations to achieve what God has for you. And it's going to be hard. That's the last thing I would say. John Maxwell, one of the people that I read a lot, says everything worthwhile is uphill. If it gets to the point you're feeling like you're running downhill and it's easy, you probably need to be doing something different or need to be doing something more. And so having those expectations up front is very helpful, because if you get into it thinking it's going to be easy and you're going to slide into your gifting and you're going to slide into God's calling for your life by happenstance, not going to happen.
No.
Not going to happen. So
I'm inspired.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I can just imagine being able to hear that with a young, fresh mind. I'm a little bit past that young and fresh stage, but
Well, anyway.
but it's inspiring, and it gave me some things to think about.
Yeah.
What you said there, and that's true. It's not easy. And I think some of our young people feel like, oh, I'm good at this or I'm interested in this. And they want to take the shortcuts. They want the quick route to that. But to hear you say it's not like that. You said you've been in it 22 years?
I finished college in 1994, so how long has that been? 25 years ago.
Right.
And so I didn't actually start working until 2007 when I came here. And so I spent,
you put some work in.
after high school, 17 years of training after high school.
Wow.
And so, you know, but I never doubted this is what God had called me to. Now, was it hard? Yes. Did I ever want to quit? Yes, a lot. But again, all those things that we just talked about, having people that I could call, you know, and say, okay, it's hard, but keep going. Keep going.
Okay.
It's supposed to be hard. Keep going. Those things are important.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's always good to surround yourself with people with positive minds.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And how long have you been in Knoxville now?
Since 2007, so yeah, 12 years, almost 12 years.
Yeah. And it's amazing when you said that because, you know, you have been out there in the community, and I knew you were a doctor, but I didn't know you was in a special type field. And I said, you know, what the doc doing up here at the 8th of August celebration? You were sitting on the panel for that. There are several other things that happened at the back
Right.
that he was there.
Yeah.
And I was saying, you know, where does he find all this time? You know, because
Now you heard him say he get up at 4:30 in the morning.
I mean, you know, this is not an 8-hour job he got. You know what I mean?
Well,
but he's finding time to get out into the community
Right.
to learn the people that he's probably going to have
serve
to see.
or
Gonna
serve that
you,
he's
you,
serving.
you guys have pointed out, and I appreciate, you know, what I've contributed to the community, but I want to take the opportunity to thank the community for what they have done for me. What they have, first of all, they've embraced my family. They've made us feel welcome here. They've adopted us here, and again, made it feel like home. So I want to thank the community for that, but I also want to thank the community in all seriousness for really saving my life. The stress of my job, me focusing on what I was doing, getting to a certain place and taking care of patients, and my patients being ill, really brought me to a crossroads in my career probably 5 or 6 years ago, maybe a little longer than that. And I going back to the mentorship, I went to one of my mentors and said, what do I do? And he said, we've got to get your mind off of you and your striving and your accomplishments and get you thinking about other folks that are less fortunate. And so that's when I really got in the community and saw that there are disparities in our community, and there are people that need motivation and help in our community. And that really changed the trajectory of my life. My focus now is really in this chief medical officer role, in my role as a surgeon, in my role as a softball coach, and as a member of my church and an elder in my church, is to raise this community up in whatever ways that I can contribute. That's my focus. And so it's really not, you know, how do you find the time? It's mutually beneficial. I mean, hopefully I'm giving something, but clearly they're giving something to me. So.
Yeah. Well, we want to congratulate you on the new role you just jumped into, and I know you got that big conference room. I'm gonna have to come in there and get your
I'm gonna
business
come with you. You know, I think it fuels us when we are around people that are inspiring, motivational.
Right.
But then when you talk about it's not just about you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
sometimes
right.
we have to be reminded of
Yeah.
those who have been in the community a long time, and I understand, because you get tired.
Yes.
And you get beat down, and when you're in a capacity where you're seeing some of the struggles of people, you do bring that home. And to constantly deal with that can be tiring.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you sharing that, because I think we look past or forget
That's right.
that it's not all glorious,
No.
you know,
No.
in that. But Chief Medical Officer, I just had to say it one more time, but
Nothing
what's
wrong
next?
with it.
You plan to retire from that?
You know, the real answer is,
Is this the plateau? or-
well, just from a faith standpoint, I don't know what next. I want to be a good steward of the opportunity that God has granted me with.
Okay.
I want to continue to serve the patients that we take care of. I want to continue to serve the people taking care of the patients and the community. And you know, part of that getting up early is to spend time quietly and listening to those still small voices that say, what's next? This is what I got next for you, or to keep going until I tell you to turn left or right. So I try to listen attentively for that direction. I spend a lot of time in prayer over this position, and I don't know what next. I never thought this would be the next if you had
Okay.
interviewed me 5 years ago. This
Okay.
wasn't on my radar when I came here. But, you know, as things would happen, this presented itself, and so I'm happy to serve in that position.
Very good, very good.
Well, again, we want to say congratulations to you, and we look for great things. I can always say that, you know, I have to give prompts what the prompts to do.
Yes,
you know.
of course.
And when I took my wife to the emergency room,
Mm-hmm.
I'm beaming because I done read the article. I done read the article. I said, "Now, what day was it?" You know, I done forgot the day that he's supposed
Right.
to take over because I was gonna drop some names.
I was gonna say that you couldn't wait to go to the emergency room after you read the article, but you wanted to make sure.
I want to make sure. But anyway, when I got there, this Dr. Fletcher, and I never forget his
Mm-hmm.
name. He made the diagnosis of what my wife needed to do, and the next thing I know, I had to get out the room. He done seen a team of doctors. I had never seen that before at UT.
Right.
And many times I've been there, not a team. And they came in and announced themselves that we are a team of doctors. We had Clevenger was the head man.
Get out the way.
And I just walked out the room. 'Cause
Yeah.
They trying to take care of my wife.
Right.
So that told me something. I said, we got a new medical officer. I just grinning.
You just
I
grinning.
had this in the back of my mind.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We got a new medical officer. He done sent the word down here. I said, I don't have to drop no name.
You didn't have to drop it. Well, I'm gonna keep it in my pocket. And
Well,
this,
and
but
that's
I-
what we want to create an environment where you don't have to drop
Right.
names, where everybody's a VIP and everybody gets great care. That's the place we want to create. So that's what we're working towards.
Yeah. And we want to say, you know, again, congratulations. And we know you're out there in the community on a regular basis. And again, from they wanted me to say this, so I had
Okay.
to say it again. That's
Say it
from the-
again.
From the beloved community.
Yeah.
They want to say congratulations. They
Yes.
wanted me to make sure I say that. And Dr. Mitchell was planning on being here, but, you know, I know what she's going through.
Sure, absolutely.
And she just couldn't make it. She wanted to know if she could come on the set because I had sent the word that Dr. Gray was going to be on the set.
Let him know.
And can I come on? I said, oh, yeah, you can come on. You know him more than I
Yeah,
do. You
yeah.
know what I mean? But I understand what she's going through. but
She's been great.
she's been
She's
great.
and you know, again, she's been one of those encouragers.
Right.
You know, and at times, you know, in the office with her and her husband, Fred,
Right.
it's kind of hard to know who's counseling who.
Yeah.
You know, she's that type of person.
Right.
If, you know, big personality and just an encourager by nature. So I said, man, should you be paying me or should I be paying you for this visit? So great. I love her. I love her husband, and she's been a great support and inspiration to me.
We got a few seconds here,
Yeah.
Doc. Final word.
Man, I just for folks out there young people that are aspiring to find out what it is that they need to do, just keep pushing. You know, like I said, put good people around you, stay in prayer, and keep working hard. And if you do that, anything is possible.
Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Dr. Keith Gray, Chief Medical Officer,
Chief Medical Officer,
University of
and
Tennessee Medical Center.
it's been a pleasure to meet
Thank you
you.
so
Thank you.
and-
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, to our viewing audience, our show comes on every Wednesday at 10:30 p.m.
10:30 p.m.
You got a final
Wednesday
word
evening.
for
I
us?
do have a final word. I'm gonna share a thought for
Go on,
this
give
show.
us a thought.
There are two important days in one's life: the day you were born and the day you find out why. Remember where you heard the word, and keep being kind until next time. You've been listening to
What's going on? And if you don't support,
We Don't Exist.
see you next time.